Good evening. Good evening to the team that gets it clean. It's another Thursday night, and we're here with the view from my window, Thursday Thoughts with Sharon Green Golden. It's another Thursday night. I had a busy day. I hope that everybody was able to do their best work today. And this month, we can't really see. Slay. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am a breast cancer survivor, and I advocate to all women to please go take care of yourself and get your mammogram. Please get your mammogram. It's still archaic because they have to do all the pressing, but it is life-saving. They do find cancers early. They are able to treat them. Women are still dying from breast cancer, but not as much as we used to. But you don't know what you don't know if you don't go. So please, this is October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please go, get yourself checked, and let's try to stay alive. That being said, tonight, I was downstairs doing some PowerPointing, but what I thought about earlier in the week was the process for coming in to your sterile processing on every shift. Do we know what we're really supposed to do when we come in? You know, COVID opened our eyes all over the world to cleaning processes. These cleaning processes should have been in place for the sterile processing team all the time. We should have been cleaning. That's what we do. But we found through this pandemic that was not what we do. So I thought I'd talk about, and if anyone has some questions or if anybody wants to interject, what it is that you do at your facility, what you really should be doing. So what we do know is that the sterile processing department is cleaned just like the operating room. The standard is the same. It should be cleaned every day. Your floors should be done every day. You cannot do the sterile processing department once in a while. It has to be done every day. And they should clean going from the clean side to the dirty side. Now, if you are a facility that runs 24/7, then it makes it a little bit harder. But according to how your facility is designed, the EVS team can still get in there and get your areas cleaned. You just have to be willing to move as needed. Your items are supposed to be on wheels. All of my tables, finally, I'm in an old facility, are on wheels. We're able to move them very easily so that he can get the floors done. We're supposed to be dusting to make sure that there's no pileup of dust. But every day when you come into your basic work areas, your station, your tables, your wrapping tables, those areas should be cleaned. And as a subject matter expert, every shift, you come in cleaning. The one shift is wrapping up to leave. The next shift is cleaning to come in. That's basically what we should be doing. So we come in every day cleaning our areas. We clean all of our workstations. We set up for the day on each shift. We try to make sure that we bring enough wrap in on the day shift to take us through a whole day. But our wrap rack is wiped down. Our wrapping tables are wiped down. We wipe down all of the stainless steel surfaces. We wipe down our computers. We wipe down the counters. We wipe the sink, clean the sinks. We do this every shift because we're sterile processing. And if sterile processing isn't clean, you can almost be assured that the rest of the hospital is not up to standard. So we're cleaning every day. Well, along with cleaning comes the fact that we should also be testing our equipment. So for years, and I've been doing this for years we just came in every day and ran the washer. I'm old enough to tell you we used to have washer sterilizers, but now we have washer decontaminators to come in and just go to work. We didn't know if the washer decontaminator was clean according to the standard or not. We just knew that when we looked in the window, it looked like it was doing something. But the washer sterilizer, for instance, you have to check it every day, preferably every shift, to be sure that there's nothing stuck in the arms, to be sure that the arms are spinning correctly. You cannot have impingement if it's got something clogged up in it. You should be checking the basket drains to be sure there's nothing stuck in the basket drains. You check your equipment before you start using it to be sure it's going to work. And I find it odd when I talk about Thursday thoughts that for years we didn't do that. We just came in and worked. And I'm almost positive with transparency that a lot of times the washer decontaminator wasn't washing anything. Sometimes there was no soap, no enzymatic cleaner in there. Sometimes there was no lubricant in there. I'm just saying what we have found now that we check every shift, now that we check every day, we know that these things didn't work. So you should be checking your washer decontaminator. We know that we have the test for the washer decontaminator now. You have the test for the sonics. You have a test for your heat sealer. Everything can be tested and should be tested and should be recorded somewhere as to the fact that you did a test, the parameters of the test were met, and your machine is working according to its IFU. That's what you really, really want to know, is that it is working according to the IFU. You want to know that before you start going in and working on trays, that all of your equipment is working correctly. So the cleaning part, you have to make sure your equipment is clean. We wipe down not only the counters, we wipe down the heat sealer. We wipe down our washer decontaminators. We do a clean sweep and decon before we start. And I know that we're going to get bacteria and viruses in there all day. But we need to start with a clean slate. And as you go through the day, you take off your PPE and you come in and you come out. If it's nasty, before I leave to go to lunch, I wipe it down so it's clean. When I come back in, I'm coming back into a clean surface. 2, yes, clean, contaminated instruments. But that's what we're supposed to do. That's part of the process. So we're going to talk a little bit more about our cleaning processes in the sterile processing and technically who's supposed to do what when we come back after this commercial. Cleaning. Okay, so we're back. So cleaning. I have had the opportunity, of course, to go to many places where the doors weren't correct. They had wood cabinets in the department. You had paper plastered all around the walls. Your walls have to be cleanable. And anything that you post has to be either in a cover or you need to go ahead and laminate it because everything has to be washed off. We have to be able to wash down the department. That's it in a nutshell, is that you need to be able to wash down the department. So questions come up as to who is supposed to do what. There is a checklist that you can get from AORN has one, CDC has one, ANSI Amy has one that you can configure to fit your department. But the cleaning of the walls, the cleaning of the floors, the cleaning of the equipment, the wiping down, that should be standard everywhere. Who does what? In my sterile processing department, the daily wipe down of the department on each shift is done by sterile processing. The general cleaning is done by EVS. The cleaning, scrubbing down of the cart washer and the maintaining of the stainless steel of the sterilizers, the cart washer, the washer decontaminators, is done by the EVS team. The washing of walls is done by two groups. We wash walls as sterile processing professionals, and when they clean, they're supposed to go behind us and wash walls. Floors should be cleaned every day. If you have the stress mats on the floor, they have to be moved every day to be cleaned. I will tell you that there's dirt there. I will tell you that there's, in my group, I don't know what they're doing, but they spray water. There's water on the floor that's contaminated. Sometimes there's blood on the floor that came off of a tray. The floors have to be done. When they're spraying their instruments to remove the enzymatic foam that we use, for whatever reason, they spray water everywhere. They're splashed back on the walls behind the sink. That has to be cleaned every day. You are the sterile processing department, where your sole purpose is to, number one, clean. And you cannot clean in a dirty place. You cannot sterilize something that is dirty or contaminated. And you really can't clean if it's already dirty. If you're already building bacteria and viruses in your little corner, you can't clean anything. All you do is add virus and bacteria to what you have. So it is imperative that your area be clean. And I'm going to tell you, for people that are having surveyors come in, there's nothing better than for a surveyor to walk into your decontamination area, and first impressions are lasting, and see the cleanliness, even though you're cleaning contaminated instruments in that room. It should be orderly and it should be clean. We know that at your sinks, you're cleaning virus and bacteria, but you shouldn't look like you went to the war at the sink. You should maintain a quality of cleanliness as you are cleaning. You know, I can't clean my dishes in a dirty sink. I have to have the sink cleaned, and then I can clean the dishes. I don't know how you clean in the dirty sink. I can't clean anything with debris and bioburden floating in the water, already floating, and now I'm trying to wash something else. So I have to start with a clean sink. So cleaning is most important for us. It's what we do. As you FIFO, which you do as you put trays in, but as you FIFO, your shelves should be being checked. You don't want any dust on the shelf. You don't want any trash on the shelf. You want to maintain the cleanliness of your area at all times. And that means that somebody has to do some work. My team, sometimes they don't ask me anymore, but they have asked in the past, why do we have to clean the shelves? Because this is our house. We maintain our house. And we go through like every, probably right now it's going about 8 to 12 weeks, and take everything off the shelf and wipe those shelves down and put everything back. Make sure that the tape hasn't changed. Make sure that there has been no incident, to make sure that anything that we have sterilized has not had an incident, because we work under the auspices of event-related sterility, which means that if there's not been an event, you can put it back on the shelf. But I will tell you that if you have something on the shelf that's been sitting close to lights, it sometimes dulls out your outside indicator, physical indicator being the tape, and it turns. So we take it down. We don't just let it sit up there. We take it down and check it and reprocess it. My policy is that we don't have anything on our shelf that has been sitting there more than 2 years, because the IFU for the wrap that I'm using says that it's good for event-related sterility, but it has a 2-year shelf life. So we go in, if you went to my department today, everything in my department that is wrapped either says 2020 or 2021. We don't have any 2018s, 2015s, 2014s, 2012s, 2002. We've gone in and physically removed those items, checked them, and reprocessed them because that's what you should do. And the other thing is, if you have something from 2002, you might want to not reprocess it, take it out of service. You're not using it. You might want to see if it can be used somewhere else, or sometimes these things are antiquated and you need to just take them out of service. You need to let your OR team know, the coordinators, and then they let the doctors know that these items are being taken out of service because we haven't used them since 2002, and this is 2021. I had the opportunity to buy a set of instruments, just sharing today. I had never seen the tray, but for some reason, the tray has, the instruments have disappeared. They got up and they left. So we replaced them today with some new instrumentation, and I'd never seen it before. But my doctor is saying he needs it to do cases when he's doing a certain revisions on knee cases. So I had to get it in there. And now I've got to go and do some teaching because if I've never seen it, most of my team has never seen it. And then when I read the IFU said that, of course, in manually cleaning, that we had to take everything apart. It has a lot of little bolts and blades, and that we had to clean it in a neutral cleaner. And then after the neutral cleaner and the rinsing with the ROI water and or your sterile water or distilled water, that you could put it in the washer decontaminator, but you cannot put it in the washer decontaminator unless you've done the manual step. Well, within the manual step, after manually cleaning, that's hand washing and checking, it goes into the sonic for 15 minutes. After being in the sonic for 15 minutes and being rinsed, then you can put it in the washer decontaminator on a neutral cycle. Now, the key word here is neutral cycle. This particular instrument cannot take the strong enzymatic. It has to have that neutral cleaner. So I have to go and write the process because my team is used to just throwing things in the washer unless they're eye instruments. And fortunately for us, we have a neutral cycle, and it's the cycle that eye instruments are cleaned on. So I have to just teach them that. But the IFU gave us step by step, and I found it IFUs are not all created equal, that it said you can go to automation after you manually clean. I like automation because you get thermal disinfection. And so whatever you're cleaning, at the end of the day, you get thermal disinfection before it comes out on the clean side for somebody to handle. So that is just something that we have to do with all new instruments. This was a new instrument. And every time I get something new, I will have somebody ask me, do we have to clean this? The answer is absolutely yes. You don't know what somebody who was handling it when they packaged it, if they coughed in their hand, if they sneezed, if they wiped if they were scratching their behind. You don't know what they were doing as they were packaging. So you cannot say the item is clean. You can say they sent you an item that has not been used and it needs to go to decontamination before it can be processed on the clean side. But back to our cleaning processes. Cleaning is important even in decon. I don't know if any of you all realize I have a cart washer. The cart washer is supposed to be checked before every shift. What are we looking for, Miss Golden? We're looking for those locks and arrows that you all don't take off the containers before you put them on the rack to put them in the cart washer. We're looking for excessive paper that may have fallen off that you didn't remove before you put something on the rack to go in the cart washer. We're looking for ropes and strings. We're looking for contraband that does not belong. I will tell you that your cart washer will only work as well as you take care of it. And little string, little lock pieces get stuck in the arms where the cart washer is going back and forth, spraying the water out. It's called the spray arms. And then your cart washer doesn't work well. All of your spray arms need to be free and clear of any debris. You need to check that at the beginning of every shift. Not once a year, at the beginning of every shift. That gives you longevity with your cart washer. With the sterilizers, we're supposed to be checking the drain to be sure there's nothing in the drain. You know how excited we get when our machines don't work. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you don't take care of your machines, they will not work for you. They're kind of like they're automation, but they act like human beings. You know, I have the cart wash at my department. It's called Betsy, and we're pampering Betsy right now. We're patting her up, rubbing her up, making sure that she's lubricated, making sure that we keep her clean because she's old. She's at what we call end of life, EOL, end of life. She's at end of life, and she knows it. And she heard somebody talking about a replacement, and she's not happy about that. So we try to make sure that we maintain her workability by checking. But that's not something new. That's something we're supposed to do. Miss Golden, we're real busy in our little hospital. We don't have time to do all that checking you're talking about. You don't have time not to have time because you work for the patient. And the patient deserves quality. And quality means that you have to follow the IFU for the equipment that you have. And the equipment that you have says it has to be cleaned. It didn't say if you're busy, you don't have to clean it. You have to clean it. And we are sterile processing. This is what we do. You cannot clean in a dirty place. And I'm here to tell you that if you have any surveyor company coming in and they stop at your sterile processing and your sterile processing is not clean, the rest of the hospital's got some issues. They will find them. Sterile processing has to be clean. It's not all about you all standing back and saying, I don't have anything 18 inches from the ceiling and I'm 8 inches from the floor. No, it's about cleanliness. It's about maintaining that cleanliness on a daily basis. I had this thought because I thought back to the beginning of COVID when they came out and said, wash your hands. I thought they weren't talking to SPD professionals. That's what we do every day. We wash our hands. You know, you should wash your hands at the end of before you start doing a tray, when you finish doing a tray. And if you're wearing gloves, you need to take them off every hour. If you're just walking around with your gloves on, wash your hands, dry your hands, and put on some more gloves. Hand washing is something that needs to be done. And surely they didn't have to tell the sterile processing team because that's what we do. We clean. We maintain cleanliness. We wash our hands. You know, the EVS has to come and change my paper towel holder on a regular time, because we're washing our hands all day long. My hands don't look good. They're always looking rusty and wrinkly because my hands are being washed all day long. I touched the counter, I'm going to wash my hands. I went out the door, I'm washing my hands because that's what we're supposed to do. I'm getting ready to take a tray off a rack, not before I wash my hands. I do trays without gloves on, but if you're wearing gloves, you still have to wash your hands and throw those gloves away. So cleanliness, in the world we say cleanliness is next to godliness. Cleanliness is what we do in sterile processing. It is part of who we are. We cannot process a tray for sterilization if we didn't go through all the cleaning steps. We just cannot. We can say all day long that the parameters of sterilization have been met, and our physical printout will prove that. But if everything you touched was nasty when you put it in there, that's still going to be nasty when it comes out. So I want you all to think about, as you hear and go over this particular show, how do we clean our departments on a daily basis? Do we clean them on a daily basis? Do we come in the morning saying good morning and cleaning it down, wiping it down? Because bacteria and virus knows no boundaries. It doesn't stop over in decon and look at the pass-through window and say, I'm not coming through. That little red line on the floor is only there for us. Bacteria and virus, they don't read red lines, so they will come across the red line. Our business is to make sure as much as possible that we keep the bacteria load down, especially on the clean side. So cleaning, do you do it? Do you clean your department? It's important that we talk about that with our department. You can always pull up your Auntie Amy book to see how to clean things. Always. There's a question that says, how hard is it to have items donated? Items can be donated. There are companies that will come and actually, if you have items that are outdated that you're not going to use anymore, they have companies that will come in and assess those items. And if they can put a money amount to it, they'll buy it from you. Or you have companies that will take it as donations to use in emerging countries, because emerging countries are not running at the same time frame as we are in the UK and in America. Some of them are running 35, 40 years behind. So what we say doesn't work for us anymore because we've gotten fancy and modern. They will be able to use it. I have a few companies that I have used over the years. I call them up and tell them I have things to be donated, what it is. They come out, assess what it is, and they'll take it off your hands. We maintain a copy of what we've donated because I work for a hospital group that our donations count, because we're nonprofit, count towards our giving back to the community and the world at large. So for a long time before COVID, I had items that always went over to it's the area between Israel and Palestine. Call it no man's land. They had hospitals there, some hospitals that they couldn't get any equipment because of the wars. And this particular company would take equipment and some things that were outdated, not more than 6 months, pack them up and send them to that hospital because they could use it. Now with COVID, we've been a year not doing much of anything. And with education, we've taught people about expiration dates, and sometimes they don't want it. What I will tell you is I never donate things that cannot be repaired by somebody easily. And if it's so broken that we can't use it in America, I definitely will not have it donated to an emerging country where they have no one to fix it, because they will not be able to use it to take care of a patient. But you can have items donated. You look at the items and make sure that they are still workable and they can donate them. We do it a lot with as we upgrade on our like small frag sets, things like that. We've gone from the regular small frag to self-tapping. Well, then we donated the regular small frag because our doctors no longer want to see those screws anymore. So we got rid of that. So you can donate things. Anytime you have a question, just put it in. If you put it in the box, even before the show, which now come on every other Thursday, then we can be ready to answer your questions for you. If you have something you want me to talk about specifically, and it's not illegal, immoral, or wrong, I'll be glad to tackle it as it deals with sterile processing. I have no problem if I have to even do some research. Subject matter expert, but I don't know everything. And if needed, I might have to bring a co-host on to help me talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So, Thursday thoughts for this week. To the team that, and you all know I call you all, the team that gets it clean. I said that from the time I was president. The team that gets it clean, because that's what we do. Now, this is this Thursday. Next week, we're celebrating SPD week. Everybody should be happy getting themselves together. I hope you've gotten your boards up. You got your signs ready to celebrate what you do, who you are, and the importance of what you do. Be ready to share with somebody. This is what I do every day. This is who we are. Because as I always say, it's a sad frog that won't sing in his own pond. So, we're going to sing about SPD. CST week came, and at my hospital, they were putting on their little shirts, and they were proud to be CSTs. Well, now it's sterile processing week is coming, and we're just as proud. because as I always say, surgery starts in sterile processing. This has been Sharon Green Golden. This has been Thursday Thoughts. Listen, team that gets it clean. Take care of yourselves. Clean your department. Thank you.